All right. Next up, who is your? It's kind of the we're going the other direction this time. Who is your do not answer? Who is calling you at 3:00 in the morning when you're in college and you're like, yeah, no. Who do you have to change the name in your phone so that every time you pick it up and you're like, should I? Oh, it says do not call. Yeah, I can't do it. Don't do it. Be smarter than that. Who is your do not answer? Fitz, I'm going to you first on this one.
It's St. John's. I don't know what to make of them. I think that they're good enough to be a top 4 team in the Big East. I think they're bad enough to be 9th or 10th. They're just, to me, they're such a high ceiling, but could totally go the other way. And they lost a player as good as Julian Champagnie, who was just a bucket getter. And that's like, when you're on a team that's inconsistent, you cannot fully account for what it means to have that guy who can score for you when you need him to do so. They made some good moves in the transfer portal, but like Andre Curbelo is the do not answer in college basketball. I mean, because I don't know what I'm going to get from day to day. So for me, St. John's, I'm sorry, but it's hard to understand what they're going to be this season. I want to say that they're going to have a great year, but there's a level of unknown with St. John's. Then the other one is, I have two. The other one is Michigan State, because I think I would get in trouble for answering the phone from the Spartans, but I like them. I do. I want to trust them. I want to trust that they're in the Big Ten title picture, but I don't think they are. And I don't know how, like, if AJ Hoggard is their dog, is that dude, I just don't know how the Spartans are generating offensive consistency. And Izzo's going to be forced to play small. So, like, answering the phone from Michigan State when they're not playing the physical style inside gets me concerned in the Big Ten, which is just loaded up with big men. So those are two teams that I think some people think could have a better year, but I'm not ready to fully trust yet. I have trust issues. It's complicated is my relationship status.
T.O.
I got two, and one of them has just dished out a lot of money in order to be hopefully another Elite Eight team like they were last year, and that's Miami. And in large part because I think Sam Wardenberg, who has now departed, meant a lot more to that team than I think people realize. And you can't just Band-Aid over a floor-stretching 5 that facilitated a lot of offense. I think that's a big deal. Another thing is, last year, Miami was able to force a ton of turnovers because Cam McGusty was really good and Charlie Moore could really get in the passing lanes. Like, so even when they weren't able to facilitate offense, they could still rely on getting out in the passing lanes and creating easy looks that way. I worry about Miami. Norchad Omie, pronunciation, nobody knows. But if he's able to have a good year, it's going to be different than how Wardenberg did it. That floor was really spaced last season, and that allowed Isaiah Wong to really get some really get some things in isolation because he's fast. This year they have Nigel Pack, who's going to be a good player. Is he going to be what Charlie Moore was defensively? Doubtful. Who's going to be that next guy to step up? The other one, I worry a little bit about this team, and I already said North Carolina, so I'm not going to bring them up because of obvious reasons that I talked about earlier. But Oklahoma State's picked, I want to say 30th in KenPom. Oklahoma State, they have a ton of really good athletes. Where's that offense going to come from?
Yes.
They remind me a lot of the Clemson teams that Oliver Purnell had before I got to campus, and not to toot my own horn, but that particular team needed skill. They needed a dose of skill and shot making, and that becomes contagious. Who's going to be their shot maker? Bryce Thompson. I know what you got that look, Rob, like you're going to say something smart ass, but I'm going to make you wait for a second because I'm talking good about myself. But they need a dose of skill a little bit, but they have a lot of defensive tools. Are they going to be able to score enough in a Big 12 conference where everybody defends? You got to be able to score. Is Bryce Thompson going to be that guy? I don't know. He's a former McDonald's All-American, but he's never really turned into this big bucket guy that a lot of people thought he was going to be able to be.
So I have two, and they both kind of follow the same template here. It's Duke and Arkansas. Early on in the season, these are two teams that are built almost entirely around impact freshmen and hoping that a couple of key returning pieces take leaps, right? A lot of new faces. With Duke, you got a new coaching staff. I don't know if I'm ready to fully buy into the idea that Jeremy Roach is going to be an all-conference point guard. Not having Dariq Whitehead during the kind of like the end of the preseason and heading into the season, I think is something that's going to hurt them. I have questions about how they're going to play Kyle Filipowski and Derek Lively together. I think that a team is kind of built on their defense is going to be a difficult thing to start with when you have a bunch of freshmen and a new head coach. It just, to me, it's going to take Duke a while to kind of get to where they end up being at their ceiling. And their ceiling's really high. Like if everything clicks, they're going to be really, really good. But I think it's going to take a long time for them to get there. Going to take some lumps early. Same thing with Arkansas. Nick Smith, really good. Anthony Black, really good. Jordan Walsh, love him. I think Trevon Brazile is going to end up being a really good piece for them. But that's a lot of new faces, a lot of new pieces, a lot of young guys. There's a reason why Arkansas's trend is kind of slow early on, weird bumps as Musselman kind of closes down his rotation and shuts off his rotation in the middle of the season in like December, early January, and then boom, they take off at the end. So to me, that's going to be kind of what we see Arkansas again. There's no guarantee that they end up putting it together, but I think that that's Duke and Arkansas are the two teams early on the season I just don't trust. All right.